I don't see how that's a relevant POI, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on in terms of how it's at least I've already taken you. How it's a societal good. We say that it comes down to the principle of what is free speech for, ladies and gentlemen. We say it's for growing and advancing our society in terms of an evolutionary path. And we say we've always restricted that speech when it has the opposite effect, regardless of even when it doesn't have harms. What do I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen? When you have certain societal taboos that help the way your society functions, you stop people, even if they really think it's okay, from going ahead and doing so. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about public indecency laws, ladies and gentlemen. Laws that prevent, that say you can't run nude and you can't be nude in public. In some countries it's to the extent that you can't even wear particularly slutty clothes in public, but you get the point over here. If we say that a society at large has decided that there are certain things that are unacceptable and hinder the functioning of the society at large, even if they do not present a certain tangible harm, we say as a society we restrict those activities because they have no fundamental good attached to them, aside from the fact that, oh yes, if I really like being nude, I can continue doing so. So we say, ladies and gentlemen, given that kind of a context, it is acceptable to curtail the kind of offense that we are referring to, the specific cases that we are referring to, because aside from people enjoying abusing religion, it doesn't provide any other form of good, any other form of constructive criticism, any other form of improvement to society at large. Given that we have already, as Western liberal democracies, taken that standard in deciding what expression works and what expression doesn't, we think it falls within that kind of context as well. We think it can be adjudicated because courts are advanced enough, as I've shown you, and we say that a specific group, one that is becoming increasingly prominent and needs to be integrated back into society, is definitely hurt when you allow these sorts of things. We're very proud to oppose.
Speakers spoke for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for his speech. Now I'd like to call upon the Member of Closing Government to open the closing half of the debate.
The principal harm is that I can't express what I think. It's that I can barely think when I cannot hear other people express similar beliefs. The harm, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is essentially an indirect restriction of thought. The harm is, ladies and gentlemen, that I have legitimate protests against, let's say, the Catholic Church. I think it is idiotic that they do not allow women bishops. I think that they are homophobes, ladies and gentlemen. I think it is terrible to allow HIV to run rampant in Africa because they don't allow the use of condoms. All of these things which I'm saying right now, ladies and gentlemen, are true, yet they would throw me in jail. That is the principal harm here, ladies and gentlemen, because I won't have been able to say all of these things. Two rebuttals before I get into my main case. The first rebuttal is this, that if you say offense leads to harm, that's all well and fine. But will it actually stop the criticism, ladies and gentlemen? Because they've never proved that. They've never proved, ladies and gentlemen, that views against religion by extremists won't continue to form, ladies and gentlemen. They've never proved that criticism is not going to still continue. Instead, on the proposition side, we believe those views are still going to continue. The unfair criticism of Muslims by extremists is still going to continue, ladies and gentlemen. Instead, it will just get driven underground. Why? Because if I'm together with a whole group of other bigoted people, ladies and gentlemen, who all hate Muslims, then what will happen, ladies and gentlemen, is that I can say whatever I want in that community, ladies and gentlemen, and never get arrested. So all I need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is form a small little club. Let's call it the YYY instead of the KKK, ladies and gentlemen. I'll never get arrested for continuing to express these views in the privacy of my own home, ladies and gentlemen. The harm here still continues. Why? Because the harm is the belief, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the expression of the views. The prejudice against Muslims will still continue. The employment discrimination in France will still continue. The hatred and other forms of discrimination against Muslims will still continue. They've done nothing to address that. Next rebuttal, ladies and gentlemen, is on this concept of the majority voice and the fact that Muslims will be specifically targeted. Well, firstly, ladies and gentlemen, we say that instead of having their system, let's have a system where members of the majority can actually step forward and defend other Muslims, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a system where you can actually undermine this perception that it's going to be the West against the rest. Let's have a system, ladies and gentlemen, where Barack Obama can stand at ground zero, ladies and gentlemen, and actually stand up and defend Muslims. That is what is happening today, ladies and gentlemen. When the Danish cartoons was printed, yes, we heard a lot of hoo-ha, but at the same time, the Times, the BBC, and the CNN, and let's not call the CNN highbrow, ladies and gentlemen, demonize those acts of printing the Danish cartoons. That's when you have members of the West themselves standing up for Muslims, ladies and gentlemen, thus undermining the image that it is the West versus the rest. So, thank you. Next, ladies and gentlemen, let's say I accept what they say, that it really is because the West is, or Westerners are stronger and more powerful. Let's say the